Hello, it's Monday, May 2nd, 2016, and as of this recording, I'm still depressed, but I'm not dead. Hey everybody, welcome back. I appreciate you taking some more time out of your busy lives to download and listen to my voice. This is going to be episode 9, which of course means episode 10 comes next, and 10 is a super round number with a 0 at the end, so I'm going to try to get something super special out for you guys. And in fact, what I'm looking at is my partner, who I've spoken of fondly in the past, Nora, is actually going to be joining me periodically on the podcast to give a voice of the other side as a partner to someone who has a mental illness, to give insights that way, so it's not just a one-sided show. She did something like this. She was part of a podcast for another group that's fantastic. Defeat the Stigma is a Minnesota group here. Started out as Break the Stigma, but they found out they couldn't keep that name any longer, so they switched to Defeat the Stigma. It's kind of supporting mental illness, trying to help people fight the stigma that is probably well covered if I've mentioned it, and it's pretty much all over. But it was started out by a gentleman, Julio, who is a mental illness sufferer. And last year he ran across the state of Minnesota, taking stops along the way to talk to schools and communities about mental illness. It was just a fantastic thing that he did. And this year, just a couple of weeks, I believe, he's going to run across Wisconsin doing the same thing. But anyway, so they have a podcast as well that they do, and they invited Nora to be part of a panel of 2 as partners of those with mental illness. And I've been trying for a while, kind of jokingly, half joking, half serious, to get Nora to do a podcast with me. For those of you longtime podcast listeners, I was thinking like Jawbone Radio with Len and Nora, something like that, kind of a comedy, but touching on real life, but with a comedy bent. And when Nora found out I was doing this podcast, she said, "Oh, I want to be part of that." So she's going to be helping me periodically. I'd kind of like it to be once a week. But we'll see how she feels and, how that goes. She has admitted many times she's more of a writer than a speaker. And so that's going to start getting content on the website at jamolki.info. So yeah, look forward to that. I'm hoping we can record that this weekend and put it out by Sunday night. And I'm excited about it. I know she's excited about it. And hopefully you all are just edge of your seat excited about this as well. Last kind of housekeeping kind of things. Of course, you can email me at jamolki@gmail.com. That's JAMOALKI. On Twitter, also with the handle Jamolki. A new fledgling kind of Facebook thing at facebook.com/Jamolki. And I would kind of like that to become like my community portal, where I can get folks included on the page. We can share stories, articles, studies, anything that relates to mental illness. And then again, the website, which really just has a couple really old blog posts, but jamolki.info. And that's perpetually going to be under construction. So there as well, if, for any of these things, if someone is interested in kind of the words coming out of my face and, you've got a unique talent or desire to, hey, make a web page pretty, or ideas on podcasting, ideas on how to help me make this be a resource to others out there who are fighting the same fights we are, I would appreciate it. So that's it. That's it for housekeeping. The chandelier's clean, and let's get started with the show. So May is here. here and spring has sprung. There's flowers growing, grass is growing, trees are blooming, but there's weeds, bugs, bird crap on my car, and yes, I'm still depressed. But spring is here, and forward positive thinking hopefully is starting to surround us all. True to my disorders and whatnot, I've been looking backwards, and really since the concept of potentially having traits of borderline personality disorder has come into my universe, my world, I've been kind of sifting through my past of what I can remember and trying to make sense of my life, maybe how borderline personality disorder may have been a manifestation in my life, and possibly as a conduit towards my depression. I'm still learning a lot, and to be clear, I do not have a diagnosis of BPD. I've done quite a bit of research on it, and I've talked with a few different folks about it. And for sure, they say, yeah, you have some tendencies with lots of these kind of mental illness diagnoses. There's a panel of symptoms that you could possibly have. And the way the diagnosis happens is there's 9, say, symptoms or characteristics, personality traits, and you need to have 5 of them or display 5 of them or 6 of them or 7 of them in order to have a firm diagnosis of that disorder. But there's always room in the diagnoses of, traits of, borderline personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, things like that. So I'm not going through my life, I'm not going to change the tagline's not going to be, hey, I'm still depressed and borderline personality disorder-ish. But it seems like there's something there. It's got some legs to it for me. So it's in my quest for knowledge, it seems worth exploring. So looking back, pre-2016 JP, I've had a lot of relationships in my life, friends, family, of course, romantic relationships. It's, if we're putting a percentage on it, 90% of them have ended, which may not be that unusual for most people. I mean, we meet people every day. There's always people coming in and out of our lives. Some folks make friends better. Some folks keep friends better. I don't do either of those. But, in thinking back, I think it's fair to say that the relationships that are no longer part of my life have come to an end because of me. And more I'm starting to wonder how much of my mental illnesses, my disorders, have been the driving force behind that. And that's one of the bigger things that I look at with my BPD possibilities. And I guess I could get into some of that on another show. We'll run through, pencil that one in. We'll run through the symptoms of, and we'll do check, not check kind of thing. So I wouldn't characterize myself as someone who has had many friends in their life. I more tend to have a couple of close friends. And then, as long as I had that close friend, I was fine being part of a group. But it always seems like I had that kind of anchor in my life, in my social surroundings. And part of that is, at least in more recent, say 15 years, I realized that I kind of spread thin too fast. And what I mean by that is it's very difficult when I tend to focus on, say, a group of people like my girls, then it's hard for me to give some of that focus to friendship. If I'm focusing on, one friend, say someone has a birthday coming up and I'm focusing on, hey, how am I going to get this planned out? How am I going to get to see him? How am I going to get to do this or that? Then I've realized that, hey, a week's gone by and I haven't even thought of, my third youngest daughter or whatever, So because of that, I guess I never felt good having many friends. And maybe because of that, it kind of kept me from maybe getting a lot of, what you would call a true friend over just an acquaintance. And, but I do have a couple of friendships that have lasted through the years, and I'm very, very grateful for those. To name some names, Dave is a friend of mine since freshman year in college. And if I was honest about it, Dave is probably more like a brother than just a friend. He's someone who is just a fantastic person and is always around to help. But at the same time is, we laugh and joke, and, it was kind of a thing when we had gotten out of college, we started living together, and it was, it was almost like we were of the same mind at times, just, our interests, our outlook on things, our sense of humor. And so, so Dave is definitely someone who I am grateful for, and I do look forward to many, many, many years of having him in my life. And then Scott is a high school friend of mine. We did go to college together. He was a year behind me. And Scott is more the type of friend where we get along great, but we don't necessarily communicate as often as we would like. But he's also that kind of friend where, if 6 months go by and I haven't talked to Scott, and then, we get together, it's like it was just yesterday that we had seen each other. I'm sure, everybody's got someone like that in their life. And then I've got other friends more recently, from my days in Michigan before I moved here to Minnesota. But I guess if I, think about it, as I sit here today, I don't know if I have the capacity to have more friends than what I have right now. It's kind of an ominous idea for me. As I've gotten older, it is harder for me to make friends. I've been here in Minnesota for 13, 14 months, and I don't have any friends here. And part of that is I don't do much outside of the house on my own where I had the opportunity to make friends. The folks at the bagel shop, we're friendly. They know me, my usual things like that, but no one I would say, hey, you want to go see a movie, or hey, we're having a barbecue, why don't you come over? That kind of thing. So, hopefully as I kind of progress down this road and I get through more kind of therapy and this DBT therapy that I'm starting, at my first official group meeting tomorrow. And hopefully I'd kind of like to take you guys through that as well. But hopefully with that, I get to a point where I can manage relationships better and be able to have more friends, or at least kind of interact with the friends I do have more productively and more consistently. So, as I said, so this, two friends, I had, other friends in high school and college, work friends, and, they're all gone by the wayside. And I'm confident most of that is, some of it is distance, people move, things like that, people change. But, I with friendships, I kind of wonder how much of that was me kind of reacting to those changes in their lives, and me kind of just ending things either overtly or not. Overtly, subvertly, I don't know. If it was just, okay, you're moving away, I can't really handle this, so I'm just gonna kind of disappear. And so then we go on to romantic relationships, right? I've got, who knows, I'm not, I wasn't Casanova by any stretch, but several past girlfriends. I have a fiance, and we split during the fiance, what the hell is that? The engagement process. I have an ex-wife, and I have, my Nora now, who I hopefully never, ever, ever will have that relationship go by the wayside. But, so these string of women sounds bad, but this, these women whose lives were affected, in my opinion, by my illness. I can think of earlier on, jealousy was a big problem of mine. Insecurity was a big problem of mine. And kind of a fear of losing a relationship that I have. So I think that, it really murkies things quite a bit. But, I don't know that I was, for a majority of those, I wasn't controlling or anything like that. I was really insecure. I'd like to think I was, cool about my insecurities, but, I don't know. But nonetheless, high school, college, post-college relationships, and not to say if I didn't have, these disorders going on that, hey, I would be married to my high school sweetheart. That's not a realistic look on the world. But I do wonder, I can think about the breakups and how I handled it, how it got to that point, what the real reasons may have been for it. And I tell you, it doesn't look like I had quality reasons. I don't know. This is kind of going off the rails here. So I broke up with these women probably for reasons that were internal to my own head as opposed to external, or, if we get romantic thinking, internal to my heart, but more so kind of a skewed thought processes going on inside my head. So, I guess in the past month or so, I've been trying to track down some of the folks from my past, friends or girlfriends or whatnot, and trying to just get a hold of them, send them a note, kind of an apology, kind of a modified, it's not you, it's me account of the past in our relationship. I'm not apologizing because I feel like I acted maliciously towards them, although I'm sure there were times, everybody fights and, everybody's selfish to some extent, but, I'm not apologizing because I can think of, hey, I did this to you out of malice. I did this to try to hurt you. It's more of, that I want to let them know that I do feel bad about how things worked out. And, let them know that I acknowledge that in general, they were always trying to do their best for me. And, me kind of running from that relationship, I hope wasn't ever taken even for a second as self-doubt for them. And, I'm sure that's kind of pie in the sky hopes kind of thing. Anytime a relationship ends, you're going to wonder, what you could have done to change things. And I would just like them to know that, hey, it wasn't something that you did. It was, I didn't have the best mental thought processes going on. I wasn't necessarily as clear-headed and rational about things as would have been better for a more healthy relationship. And just say, I apologize. I was never very good at or really even capable of having an emotionally healthy relationship. I was sweet and romantic and love songs and, make you a mixtape of the best love songs and throw in a couple you've never heard of and, buy presents and flowers and blah, all that stuff. But, it's kind of all masking of, I think probably masking just, hey, don't leave me. Hey, stay with me. Hey, wow, cool. Here's this, necklace. So, that shows I love you. Look at that. So I guess part of this is, maybe I've borrowed some of this from, the 12-step program. As far as it sounds like I'm seeking forgiveness from others. I'm acknowledging, my mistakes, and I guess that's how it looks, and I suppose it looks kind of selfish, kind of like I'm a pseudo atonement for my past sins, but I'm not really looking for forgiveness from these folks. I'm actually not even anticipating hearing back from anybody, and I imagine some folks will, just see it's a message from this JP guy and just delete it straight out without reading it. And that's fine. I'm not, I'm putting that out there. I'm putting out my apology, my kind of account of, what the extra things that I brought to the relationship that they probably didn't realize which led to the way things ended. And, I believe knowledge is important, and, maybe I'm being foolish. Let me know. I guess, what do you guys think? I mean, does this sound like something that's worthwhile? Do you wish, do any of you kind of wish you could give apologies to something that happened in the past? And I'm not specifically talking about, wanting to apologize or show gratefulness to those who are helping us with our illnesses, those who are by our sides. And again, I hope you're doing that. And it's always great to show that kind of appreciation. But more so, can you look back and say, oh, geez, this happened because X, Y, Z, and that person never knew it, or, have an epiphany like I did and think, oh, geez, this is bigger than just me. There's, a wide swath of people in my past who kind of fell victim to my mental illness, who weren't even aware. So, maybe you think I'm spinning my wheels, and would just be better off letting the past be. Perfectly willing to accept that that's a reasonable choice. I don't know that I'm right. I don't know that I'm wrong, but it just seems like the right thing to do. It feels right to kind of reach out to these folks, and it's, not everybody, like Alexandra from first grade, I'm not going to look her up and say, hey, sorry, I was a really weird first grader, but those who are, close friends, past relationships, things like that. I feel like it's important for those folks to know a little bit more from my side, because I probably wasn't very forthcoming at the time. And again, I've said it before, I don't know that I could have been as forthcoming, because I clearly wasn't aware of any of this. It was, just me thinking I was doing the best I could do. And maybe I was doing the best I could do, but it clearly, in my mind at least, was insufficient to maintain the kind of relationships that a lot of folks have, had, continue to have. I don't know. I think we're at the time of the show here where I'm kind of rambling. So, get back at me. Let me know what you guys think about this. Send me an email, jamolke@gmail.com, or send me a message on Twitter, jamolke. Facebook, you can Facebook message me. I guess you go to facebook.com/jamolke. If you want to be part of the group there, just, I think it's set up that you have to ask. I don't really know. Like I said, I'm still kind of learning that. Hey, let's get together. Let's communicate. Let's see if we can build something meaningful, and maybe start some relationships that are healthy for me and you. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be safe and be well.
I woke up this morning, I had a scone and a large house blend, then a little conversation with my squirrel and chipmunk friends. I said I'm sick and tired of winter, and I wish that it was spring. Then a little fella named Robin Redbreast began to sing, and he sang, ooh child, what'd you think a cold winter's gonna last?